So what are the concerns with the third overall pick in the NBA draft? We're going to break it down right here on Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Locked On 76ers. We're your host, Keith Pompey, 76ers beat writer. I'm Kayla Santiago, sideline reporter for the Delaware Bluecoats, the NBA G League affiliate of the Philadelphia 76ers. Thanks for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Keith, Ace Bailey seems like the popular topic of conversation at number 3 for Philadelphia. But what are the concerns going into this draft if that's who Philadelphia ends up with?
I don't really, I know there are certain people who are real critical of him. I mean, right now at this particular time, I don't have a lot of concerns, but I will tell you, because honestly, I do think that he's the next man up, right? And I feel like that he's a quality player and could be a great addition to the 76ers. But there have been some concerns from people in regards to him being listed as 6'10". And I think that's where, when we talked before, you had that comparison of, you've heard that he reminds people of Kevin Durant and people like that. But when he measured out without his shoes, he was 6'7.5". So we're saying, come on, bro, like that's 2.5 inches, right? So 6'10" at the 3, at the 4, interchangeable, that, you can do a lot of things with in regards to a matchup. But I think that a lot of people are concerned because of his height. Now, last I checked, you don't play basketball barefoot, right? Mm-hmm. So he's going to be taller. And if we're going to be honest with people, Adem is listed as 6'10". He's 6'8". Gershon Yabusele is listed as 6'8". He might be 6'6", 6'5", right? So my thing is, that's one concern that certain people have. Another thing that I heard from people is that they say that he can be extremely ball dominant. They say that, other things that he does, if the Sixers should draft him, is he takes some crazy shots, he misses some shots. But if we're going to be 100% honest, he played for Rutgers. Rutgers was struggling. He had to take a lot of shots. Like, you're going to pass it to a dude that that's not going to make it. So I think that, all these guys who were the man and were scorers, those are things that they did. So at this particular time, I really don't have any concerns for him. I know that there are concerns out there. I just don't have any for him at this particular time.
And I'm going to have to agree with you there, because when we talked before, way before the 76ers season was over, and we said, okay, they're in tank mode right now. Who could they look at besides Cooper Flagg? They don't get the number 1 pick. Ace Bailey was somebody that we talked extensively about. And when I look at somebody like Ace Bailey, when you're talking about a ball dominant player in college, that doesn't always even translate to the NBA unless you're going on a team like the Utah Jazz or the Washington Wizards, where they need somebody that is going to create, is going to penetrate. That's not even necessarily, penetration is not really his strong suit either. But what he can do is fit in nicely with his size, with his wingspan, with the Philadelphia 76ers. And somebody that can fit in well, is not afraid to go out there and dribble, drive, and try to get to the basket, and being able to create a little bit for himself, to me, is not a bad look, because the last thing you want is somebody that's going to just try to fit in the scheme and doesn't have that aggressiveness to go forward, because we know that the ball is going to go to Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, and Paul George. But they're always not going to have great nights. What if Paul George is on the bench? What if he's out on a back-to-back? Same with Joel Embiid. It's important to have guys that you can also rely on and that can give you that next step as well. And to me, Ace Bailey is that guy. Now, Keith, we know that there's a big transition usually from college to the NBA, and that's going to happen. I think that happens with really any draft pick. But at the same time, for me, I just don't have those concerns that I'm seeing out there, because you're right, they don't play barefoot. So I believe that he is the best fit at number 3 for the Philadelphia 76ers to play with the core that you already have going into next year.
Exactly. And a lot of times we always say, we always say it's not about the best fit, and that's what Daryl Morey and all they say is about the best player available. But in my opinion, he is the best player available. Now again, if let's just say if Dylan Harper should fall to the Sixers, well, then I think the Sixers are lucky as heck, right?
Right, exactly.
That Dylan Harper is a better player, and I also think that he's a better fit for the Sixers. But when we talk about VJ Edgecombe, we talk about other players. I just look at Ace Bailey, and I just think he's a better guy. I do. VJ Edgecombe, he's going to be. You already got Quentin Grimes, or you're trying to keep him. You already have, Tyrese Maxey. You have all these other guys. You have Kelly Oubre, Jarrett McCain. I just believe that, this Ace Bailey is a better basketball player, and he fulfills a need that the Sixers really need. Don't mess this up, Daryl. Don't mess it up, Daryl.
He really can't, unless, once again, Giannis is on the table, okay? I'm talking Giannis is on the table and you have a chance to get him. You cannot mess this up. Now, for granted, if some reason Cooper Flag falls, which will not happen, the Mavs would really have to mess that up, or Dylan Harper does fall, then yes, you look at different scenarios. And maybe the Spurs say, hey, Ace Bailey might be a better fit with what we have right now, and you go and take Dylan Harper. But you need somebody that can come in and make an impact, because they're injured. The 76ers with Paul George and Joel Embiid, they're in win now mode, and they have a lot of saving to do. Joel Embiid's got to prove that he can come in and play healthy. Daryl Morey's job is definitely on the line this coming year as well. So you're not necessarily looking at a player that's going to give you 30 each night, but you need somebody that can go out there and give you what you need from that standpoint with Ace Bailey. And to me, he is the guy. And there's going to be concerns for everybody. And Keith, that's the thing that I look at too. Every player coming into the NBA, even Cooper Flag, there's going to be concerns because they're playing a different game of basketball where they were really the guy going to an NBA team of some vets, of MVPs and everything in between.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the good part. You know what? Here's the thing. Sorry about that. I kind of think that, to piggyback off of that, comparing this to the process, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you had these young guys come in here, but they didn't have any veterans to nurture them, right? Now, you think about this. So some of these guys are going to come in, they're going to be a little bit immature. That's because they're young. They're going to be like they know everything. But they're going to be in the locker room with Paul George, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, if Eric Gordon is still here, they're going to be in the locker room with him, and Kyle Lowry. And the reason why I'm bringing up these guys are because when you talk about PG, he's going to be 30-something. He's 35 years old. He's been in the league forever. Eric Gordon's been in the league forever. The same thing with Kyle Lowry. Tyrese Maxey is the young guy. He's going to be probably the face of the team if Embiid doesn't play. With that being said, this guy is going to have to respect them. But in addition to that, it's like he's going to learn so much from him. If he goes to the Brooklyn Nets, if he goes to the Utah Jazz or a team like that, what are you going to learn? You're going to be the guy and you're going to struggle. You understand what I'm saying? So he has a lot that he's going to learn from.
And it's so interesting, too, because in the last episode, we said, is the NBA rigged? And, the Mavs are up top. But these draftees in the top three are coming into pretty good situations. Now, granted, for the Sixers, everybody needs to be healthy for it to be a good situation. But you're not coming in where you're the youngest player and supposed to be the best player. You're coming in for teams that are looking to go on a deep playoff run, that are looking to add that one extra piece that can really help them out and get them past the hump. For the 76ers, of course, it is the second round of the NBA playoff. Clearly, that doesn't happen for Philadelphia unless Joel Embiid is healthy. But at the same time, the Mavericks, too, Cooper Flag could be a good addition to that for years to come. In addition to the Spurs with Wemby, you could get Harper. That could be a good addition. And then Ace Bailey with the Philadelphia 76ers, if that's where Philadelphia goes. and if he falls to number 3 as well. But we talk about this 3rd round pick, and that's the biggest topic of conversation. I know everybody is still super excited that the 76ers lottery balls rolled the way that everybody wanted, but they also do have that 2nd round pick too. So we'll discuss a little bit more on what maybe we look for that 2nd round pick when we come back right here on Locked On 76ers. And the days are getting longer, the weather's warming up, and people are spending more time outside, which means it's the perfect time to refresh your outdoor space. Whether you're working with a big backyard or a small balcony, Wayfair has everything you need to make it feel like more you. Wayfair's massive selection of outdoor essentials makes it easy to transform any space into your ideal summer setup. From comfy conversation sets to sleek dining tables and outdoor decor, they've got it all and at prices that fit your budget. Brand new patio dining set and some string lights from Wayfair to help your outdoor space. I love the mix of styles they offer. Wayfair makes it super easy to find pieces that match your vibe without spending a fortune. And for me, it's really nice to see that pieces are all there together, because I'm somebody that visualizes things, but I don't know exactly where to go. And Wayfair always seems like they read my mind and what I am looking for that outdoor furniture. The delivery is free and hassle-free, even for the big stuff. Whether you are entertaining guests or just relaxing solo, shop Wayfair to help you unwind. Shop a huge selection of outdoor furniture online this summer. Get outside with Wayfair. Head to wayfair.com right now. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. So make sure that you go check it out today. All right. 76ers also have that 2nd round pick. And Keith, for me, this is something that I am looking to have an impact player that can make plays that might not need to be on the floor all tonight. And we look at the NBA playoffs right now, somebody like Mikal Bridges, who goes out there, even Williams last night with the Oklahoma City Thunder. These are players that, okay, they're not SGA and they're not Jalen Brunson, but guys that can come in there and not have a great 4 quarters of offense, but all of a sudden makes 2 big defensive plays at the end, or airballs a 3 and then comes back and knocks down a big 3. Whether that be position-based or best player available at that point, I think you might also look for maybe a backup for Joel, depending where you want to go. But this pick could also be important for the future of the 76ers when you're looking for those players in the playoffs that can come in, give you a quick few minutes, and then go back to the bench.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing about the 76ers is that they have the 35th pick. Mm-hmm. And typically with the 35th pick, you get a player of good value.
Right.
You look at Dembona last year. They got him early in the 2nd round. I mean, we'll go back to Jeremy Grant. I believe he was in Joel Embiid's draft. He was in that draft. And he was taken, I want to say 36. You look at Jeremy Grant, Olympic gold medalist. You know, he's making money. So I think like the Sixers, it may not be someone like, we're talking about Mikal Bridges and then Jalen, Williams, but they're going to get a guy who there's going to be available, who can be like a glue guy. And when we look at the 2nd round, it's not bad. You look at guys like Chris Middleton, Draymond Green, Nikola Jokic, Jalen Brunson. Now that guy, Dennis Rodman, Manu Ginobili, and Gilbert Arenas were all guys that the teams found value in the 2nd round. So you're right. To me, the 76ers, as far as like right now, going out there and picking number 3, well, okay, whoever doesn't get picked at number 2, you're going to take number 3 probably, right? But their scouting is going to be about finding this diamond in the rough for somebody who's going to slip in the 1st round.
Let me ask you this, because I look at this 2nd round and there's some good centers available coming out of college that maybe you see some time in the NBA game. Maybe it's somebody that's on assignment to the Delaware Blue Coats, but Condon from Florida as well, Krautbrenner from Creighton, who stands in at 7'1" as that center. I like the backup center idea, especially because you're not sure, the longevity of the season of Joel Embiid. probably won't play on back-to-backs coming off that injury. But in a perfect world, position-wise, where do you think you go? If somebody slips, is it best player available at that point? Because then you get later on, where do you think is a position of need that the Philadelphia 76ers could get somebody that could help them make a difference down the line?
Me personally, it's going to be best player available just because there's always someone who slips.
Right.
They're always like there's someone who didn't interview well, someone who had had some red flags or something like this, someone who didn't play well at the combine, right? Or didn't do stuff well at the combine. So when you look at that, to me personally, at that spot, I'm going best player available, right? Now, again, that best player available may indeed be a backup center.
Right.
But the only thing is if you're going to get that guy, now, a lot of times you can get a guy and you can make him a two-way player or you can do whatever, but you got to ask yourself, is this guy going to be good enough to help me on a championship contending team, right? Mm-hmm. And if not, don't do it because, Andre Drummond is expected to opt in, right? You have Adem Bona coming back, and Adem has shown you that he can do certain things.
Oh, yeah.
But if you feel like that you want to move on from Andre Drummond, and that best player is available, do it. If not, you know what I would do? I would get another forward. If it's not, and the reason why I'm saying that is because you're always going to need a bunch of wings, right? And also the weakness that this team had, or not wings, the weakness they had was at the power forward position. Me personally, as much as we all talk about Yabu, if Yabu can get the bag, Yabu has to get the bag. Meaning, if the 76ers are only going to offer you $5.7 million, but you can get 10 from somewhere else or more, you got to go. So at that particular point, I think the Sixers need to invest in that position. But at the same time, it has to be best player available because someone's going to slide.
Yeah, I mean, we always see that, especially as, we're kind of rounding out the first round. You say, oh, okay, well, there's a chance to get that in early round number 2. I like Rasheer Fleming as well. You alluded to the forward, just bringing up his stats. He's the junior, standing in at 6'9". That's what it's listed. So with a shoe on and everything, averaged just about 15 points per game, along with 9 rebounds as well. Local kid, too, from St. Joe's. He grew up in Camden, New Jersey. So there's some options there for the Philadelphia 76ers. He's projected late first round. So we'll see if any of those guys start to slide, because it will be interesting. I do think that's also another pick that you look at, because the third pick seems obvious, right? If Ace Bailey gets picked number 2, you go Dylan Harper. Like, that's clearly what should happen unless Giannis is on the table. But at the same time, you also need to look at getting that second round pick that can really help you, especially if you're looking to make a championship contending roster with the unknown longevity of Joel Embiid, Paul George, and those guys as well for the Philadelphia.
And you're right. And Fleming would be a great guy. I mean, he would be a great buy just from the aspect as, he's a local guy. He knows what it means. And then also, he's a guy that can come in and give you some quality minutes. He can knock down shots. He can play with energy. He can do a lot of things. There's not going to be, it's going to be some hype on him because he's a Camden guy who went to St. Joe's. But at the same time, he'd be a dude who could just come in and fit in and play well. He would be a quality pick in my opinion.
And he's played at the Wells Fargo Center, now renamed to the Xfinity Mobile Center, during those Big 5 tourneys. So, hey, it would be a quality pick. We'll see kind of if he does slide. So if you're the 76ers, I think that's a good player to look at, depending on where you're going to be at and how these teams will shape up in front of you in terms of late first round, early second round as well for Philadelphia. But some recent hires for the 76ers behind the scenes and recent cuts as well for Philadelphia. So we will get into it as the offseason continues, the excitement of the draft pick and everything in between. We'll continue to break it down right here on Locked On 76ers. And shopping for a car should be exciting, not exhausting. But between the confusing prices and hidden fees, it can feel very overwhelming. That's why I love using CarGurus. They help you cut through the noise and show you the best deals with full confidence. With over 4 million listings, CarGurus has more new and used cars than any other major online marketplace in the U.S. They verify dealers, provide real price analysis, and give you the tools and data you need to make the right choice without second guessing yourself. Need a deal you can trust? CarGurus makes it easy to compare vehicles side by side with unbiased deal ratings. The best feature, price drop alerts, so you know exactly when the perfect car is available for your budget. Plus, the in-depth vehicle details give you peace of mind before stepping onto any lot. It's no wonder SimilarWeb estimated traffic data shows CarGurus is the #1 most visited car shopping site. Buy or sell your next car today with CarGurus at CarGurus.com. Go to CarGurus.com to make sure your big deal is the best deal. That's CarGurus.com. CarGurus.com. Make sure you go check it out today. You will not want to miss out. Okay, so Jameer Nelson getting hired as assistant general manager. A little bit questionable because they have that position filled at the moment. But for people that don't know Jameer Nelson, if you followed his college career, he's the local kid, also was recently just overseeing the Delaware Bluecoats as well since 2020. He was a scout originally and then the G League GM as well, and was with the team when they won that G League championship for the first time in Bluecoats history in 2022-23. Not necessarily a position they needed to fill, quote unquote, Keith, but he does get the promotion coming up this season in Philadelphia.
What they do is right now they have 4 assistant general managers, right? So, but what they do is they kind of break it down. So they're basically front office guys, and one of them, I'm assistant general manager specializing in scouting or in such and such, other topics. So while they all have that title, they do have different jobs. So, but for him, you know what, this promotion is cool for him. Like, he wants to be a GM, he wants to run an organization. I feel like he was hired by the Sixers. He and Elton Brand have a really good relationship. He knows a lot. He's a smart guy. He's willing to learn, and he's a hard worker. I mean, there's been several times where I spoke to former players turned agents and just former agents, and they all glow about Jameer. They talk about how he's really into it. He keeps a great rapport with everyone. And they kind of, the reason why they were getting good talent in the G League is because of him. They basically wanted their players to go somewhere where they trusted the general manager. So as he matures and as he gets older and learns and elevates, he's going to be a guy that's going to attract a lot of top talent wherever he's at, just because of the relationships and his business-like approach to things.
And hey, we were just talking about Rasheer Fleming, who played at St. Joe's. Jameer Nelson also played at St. Joe's. So maybe that second round pick will work out in the 76ers' favor. But yeah, he, in my time with the Bluecoats as well, has done a really good job of just bringing that talent in. The players, the coaches, the assistants all talk really highly of him, in addition to really just the staff over there in Wilmington, Delaware, with the Delaware Bluecoats. So interested to see what he's able to bring to the Philadelphia 76ers. But some people that got let go as well. And you never want to see anybody lose their jobs. But Keith, you broke this story too. Kobe Carl, who led the Delaware Bluecoats to that first ever championship in history, he was let go along with Terrell Harris, in addition to Anthony Jackson and others.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think this is probably the third time that I've seen this many people let go. And a lot of it comes down to they want to say like department restructuring, and they do that. But it always seems like, and again, I think it's kind of like semantics, because some people may say, well, some of them are cost-cutting moves. Now, I'm not saying Kobe Carl is or Terrell Harris was, but at the same time, it's kind of like, and it's just one of those things that's part of the NBA where you see people get let go. The sad part, though, is kind of like Rob King. Rob King was the PR director. He's been there since 2015. He worked his way up. And, he became like a guy that, hey, Rob, you would contact him, you would find things out. You worked closely with him. And then the second person who was hard to let go is Anthony Jackson. It's funny, he was the assistant director of security. That was his title. But they didn't have a lead director of security. So it was really his job. He was the guy. And he also was Joel Embiid's shadow, so to speak. Wherever Joel went, he went. He went to the Olympics. So, he was another guy who was there since 2015. So, it's tough. But this is the third time that has happened. The third time where there was like slashing and slashing and slashing. So, but again, what they're saying is it's all about restructuring. That's what they're saying.
It is really interesting. I didn't even mention Rob King too. Like, I'm in agreement with you. He has been so great anytime to media, if they need anything, really outgoing. So best of luck to those guys too. I'm interested to see where Kobe Carl will go, because clearly he was loved by the Blue Coats organization. He got promoted after the Blue Coats won that NBA championship as well. Now Jameer out. We'll see if they do any restructuring in the NBA G League arena with the Delaware Blue Coats. So we'll wait and see what happens there. But those are the latest cuts for the Philadelphia 76ers. And once again, the biggest thing on everybody's mind is that third round draft pick. To wrap up this show, we are all in on Ace Bailey. Let us know your concerns in the comments if you have any. Right now, we do not. Now, listen, that could change as we go. I'm sure there's going to be us looking and analyzing and seeing really what his game will continue to do, how he looks in different areas of the combine and everything in between. But Ace Bailey, I am all in if you're the Philadelphia 76ers and Daryl Morey. And we appreciate you all tuning in to Locked On 76ers. Thank you so much for making Locked On 76ers your first listen today. For your second listen, check out Locked On NBA Game Night. Every game, every night until an NBA champion is crowned. Get local analysts on a national scale. Find NBA Game Night on Locked On NBA on YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcast. Thank you all so much once again for tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe on YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcast. For Keith Pompey, I'm Kayla Santiago saying so long, and we will see you all next time.